Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, we are going to look at a preview of the Raiders up against the Seattle Seahawks in this NFL Week 12? Week 12 matchup. And what we're going to look at is the top 10 players that y'all need to keep your eyes on. I have them ranked from 10 all the way down to 1. 1 being the guy that I'm going to watch the closest. So you got the 3-7 Raiders on the road in Seattle against the 6-4 Seattle Seahawks. I can't even believe I'm saying this. We're trying to upset Seattle. If you would have told me that weeks ago, I probably would have laughed at you. Now, here's the one thing. I know that the nation has been tired of the losing. Jeremy and I, Chugs and I, we're going to be partying on Sunday, and the more people we get, the better the party is. So if you could set a reminder, tell, hey, Siri, hey, Alexa, set a reminder to join the Raiders Report watch party against the Seahawks, or you could hit that subscribe button. You could turn on that notification bell. That way when we schedule the live, that way when we go live, you join it, it sends an alert to your phone, and you can help us cheer on the Raiders against the Seahawks. So let's go to number 10 here in my top 10 Raiders to watch. I'm going to say rookie defensive tackle Neil Farrell Jr. I want to see how this young man continues to grow in this defense and what we could potentially expect in the future. In Week 11, his snaps, he played 23 snaps up against the Denver Broncos. That was 36%. His PFF grade, as you can see, imagine coming home and you gave your mom or your dad a test and it had a 28.4 grade on it. Not great. He was benched in Week 10, and he did not play well in Week 11. Well, when you're drafted as the top defensive tackle in last year's draft that the Raiders took, you're expected to perform. He's supposed to be that run stopper. I said when they originally drafted him, he's going to have some growing pains, but he's a big boy. And I want the big boy to show me that he can go out there and he can be a reliable defensive tackle. Plus, on top of that, the Raiders have already been making some DT moves, which we'll talk about a few of those guys coming up here in just a little bit. Let's go to number 9 on my list. It's Mad Max. Max is must-watch television. So you're going to see some players on here that you're like, well, yeah, no shit. Well, guess what? This is a no shit. Maxx Crosby is the best defensive player on the field. You can make the argument when he's out there, he is the best player. I don't know why PFF gave him a 50 overall grade against the Denver Broncos and arguably his best game of the season, but hey, it is what it is. Crosby has 9 sacks this season, and he played 100% of the snaps this past week against Denver. What more do you want from this guy? You have a cornerstone player. You got a top 10 defensive player in the NFL right now. Can somebody, for the love of God, get him some help? If I was a dad and I had a young kid who was learning how to play defensive end, I would say, watch Maxx Crosby play because he's relentless. He never gives up on plays. The bend that he has, the wiggle that he has, the just arsenal of moves, whether he can beat you inside, he can beat you outside. Crosby can do it all. And that's why he is must-watch television. So you better watch number 98. Though, you're going to be watching him. I can guarantee you that. So who you guys got in this game? Type LV for the Raiders or SEA for the Seattle Seahawks. Anytime I do a video like this, usually the opposing team's fans, they come in the chat. They try to rile us up a little bit. So here's the thing. If you got the Raiders, spam LB. Let's go to number 8 here on my list of my top 10 Raiders to watch against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to go cornerback Tyler Hall. Some of y'all, if you missed last week, are like, who? Who is this kid? Oh, he wasn't even on the 53-man roster. They promoted him, and he actually played pretty well. He was in the game for 18 snaps, 28%. He did not get the start. Amik Robertson got the start. Here's the thing, though, man. If I'm playing or if I'm watching, it's not always who starts. It's who finishes the game. And Tyler Hall was in when it mattered the most. In fact, he even got more snaps than Amik Robertson. PFF graded him out at 73.1. He even got a sack. Like, right now he is tied for the lead for the Raiders for most sacks this season with 1. Max has the most with 9, but Tyler Hall's a player to watch. Very impressed with him. And earlier last week I said, I want to see guys who play with a lot of heart, and I want to see guys who go out there and give it their all. Tyler Hall gave it his all. Now remember, y'all, today's show is presented by Butcher Box. Dad, if you're watching him, yes, we brought back Butcher Box, and we got a brand new awesome deal. We hooked you all up with a free 10 to 14 pound turkey for the holidays. Well, guess what? If you go to butcherbox.com/NFL Daily, we're going to hook you guys up with 2 10-ounce ribeyes for free in every box for a whole year when you join, plus an additional 10% off. So that's free ribeyes, $10 off. That's free ribeyes for a year plus $10 off at butcherbox.com/NFL Daily with code NFL Daily. Me personally, I've had a lot of different foods from ButcherBox. When we first started doing this sponsorship, we hooked you up with some free-range chicken. Then we hooked you up with some turkey. And now I can't wait to get my hands on these ribeye steaks because everything that I've ever eaten here from ButcherBox has been incredible. And during the holidays, it's stressful. I don't know about you, man. I don't like going to the grocery store. You can say what I want. My dad makes fun of me. What do you mean you don't like going to the grocery store? I don't like going to the grocery store. So the fact that I can sit at home, order the food, and it gets delivered right to my house and I never have to leave, it's simple and it tastes great. So if you got a family, if you love steak, high-quality steak, and remember, I'm going to say this again, 2 10-ounce ribeyes for free in every order. You get this deal for a year. Butcherbox.com/NFL Daily. Get started right now. That link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's video. Let's go to number 7 here on my list for players to watch, Thayer Munford. I've been very impressed by the growth, of Thayer Munford this season. Munford was a player that I had as a 5th-round grade out of Ohio State. Raiders got him in 7th round. He struggled early on, and one of the things that I told y'all, he was once a 1st-round potential pick, had some injury issues, and I said if he can work with Carmen Brasillo, if you give him some work, he can show that he can get better and better. Well, this past week, because Colt Miller was out, Jermaine Illuminor played left tackle, Thayer Munford played right tackle when he started. And according to PFF, he was the best offensive lineman that the Raiders had, 61.8 overall grade. Munford is a really athletic player, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a good player in the NFL. He might not ever be a Pro Bowler. If you can find, though, a reliable tackle in the NFL, that's a big thing, and it's something that this Raiders team desperately needs right now. I want to see Munford out there. I want to see him continue to grow and grow and grow in this role. And if you can find a right tackle in the 7th round, phenomenal value there for the Raiders. Let's go to number 6 here. It's Jerry Tillery at defensive tackle. One of the reasons why I put Farrell Jr. on this list is because Jerry Tillery outplayed that man right there. And if you want to make sure that you can secure your job for the rest of the season, you're going to be battling out with these two people because Tillery, to me, stepped in and had a solid game. Week 11 snaps, 23, 36%. I don't care what PFF says. They're going to give him a 42.6 overall grade. I disagree with it. To me, he created consistent interior pressure the entire night. To me, he is one of the biggest reasons why Bilal Nichols finally had himself a halfway decent game. This was the best defensive tackle game that the Raiders played all season was against Denver. Here's the thing, though. Now you got to go up against Seattle, against a better offensive line. Not a great offensive line, but a better offensive line. And can you improve? You're going to have a full work week. You're going to be working with Andrew Billings. You're going to be working with Farrell Jr., working with Bilal Nichols. Jerry Tillery is absolutely a player to keep in mind. So here are the latest odds as of the time I am making this video, which is on Tuesday, of the Raiders' Week 12 game up against the Seattle Seahawks. The over-under is set at 47.5, and the Seahawks, 3.5-point favorites, which, to be honest, I am happy the Raiders aren't favored in this game. So knowing the over-under and knowing the fact that Seattle is the favorite, give me those score predictions. Seriously, look into that crystal ball of yours and tell me your score predictions for the Raiders up against the Seattle Seahawks. Let's go to number 5 now on my list of players to watch. Number 17, Davante Adams. Well, no duh. If you don't watch Davante Adams, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah, you can keep your eyes on the ball all you want. If I was a young man and I was trying to be a wide receiver, I would watch Davante. He might be the best route runner in the league. He is always the most talented player on the field. He leads the NFL right now with 120 targets. And the Seahawks, they got some young, but they got some talented corners. Seattle, one of the reasons why they let Sidney Jones go, who now is with the Raiders, the reason why they let him go is because of their young cornerback talent. Well, you know what? Davante just made Patrick Surtain look like a little boy. I want to see it again this week from Davante. Another player that I know that y'all are going to watch anyway. Number 4, it's Josh Jacobs. I got to put some of these guys on the list, though, because let's face it, if I did a top 10 list and I didn't put guys like Maxx Crosby, Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, I would want y'all to question me. And for me, he was running like he wants a new contract. He is running so motivated right now where if you were to rank the top 5 running backs in the NFL, If you don't put Jacobs in your top 5, I'm not going to take it serious. Not only is he able to run between tackles, pick up clutch first downs, you saw the past few weeks, when he's throwing the ball, he can make things happen. So McDaniels, stop doing the Brandon Bolden experiment. Stop doing the Amir Abdullah experiment. You want a good experiment? Put Josh Jacobs out there even more. You said it this week. You're surprised on how good a football shape he is. Give Jacobs the ball 25, 30 touches every single week. Coming in here at number 3, we're going to go back to the defensive side of the football at defensive tackle. It's Bilal Nichols. When Nichols was signed this offseason, the hope was that he was going to be the Raiders' best defensive tackle, and he's been just downright terrible this season, except this past week against Denver. Credit Jerry Tillery, credit Andrew Billings, credit Bilal Nichols, who finally for the first week showed some life. He had energy. He looked like he was finally healthy, and the fact that he finally played a solid game, this might be a crazy thing. When you get interior pressure, it helps out everybody else. Denzel Perriman had a lot of open holes that he could hit the running back, get to the quarterback. Yeah, Tyler Hall was able to get a sack. Crosby had 2 sacks. Why? It starts up front, and when you can create pressure up front, it makes everybody's life a lot easier. Are the Broncos bad? Yes. Is Russell Wilson a fraud? Yes. But I want to watch Bilal Nichols because if he can continue to play the way that he did up against Denver, you might see this Raiders defense look a little bit different in the final 7 weeks of the season. Now, before I get into my top 2 players that I'm going to be watching, remember, y'all, if you want to stay up to date on everything going on around this team and all of my takes that I don't have time always to put out a video, Twitter, Instagram, I've been putting a lot of videos on IG, and to get even more exclusive content, it's RaidersReport.locals.com. And I wouldn't be able to do today's show without our awesome MVP from this past week. Everybody right now, spam Trivan in the chat. Trivan was our Week 11 MVP, and he continues to just ball it out on our watch parties. He's always watching. Trivan, I got to get a hold of you. Maybe we can talk or something like that before Thanksgiving. I always want to say thank you for all the support that you have on the show. You're on our Mount Rushmore for the reason, and honestly, man, having people like Trivan make doing this job even more fun than it already is. So, Trivan, I salute you, my good sir. Let's go to number 2 here. Sam Webb, cornerback. You got to watch Sam Webb. Sam is a player who's a UDFA, got some growing pains, there's no doubt about it. And over the past 2 weeks, he's struggled. And when you're going to put a UDFA in the position that you have, Webb's going to get torched a little bit. And he did. He got worked. He was the worst graded PFF player at 26.7, and watching the game that he had against Denver, I actually thought 26.7 might have been too high. But you know what? I think good players learn from the bad games. So you played bad against Indy. You played really bad against Denver. Here's your opportunity now to flip the script. Am I curious to see how the Raiders use their cornerbacks this week? Absolutely. I'm curious to see how much they give to Tyler Hall. I'm curious to see how much work they give Sidney Jones, who last played with the Seattle Seahawks. I want to see how many reps Webb get. Amik Robertson. If Nate Hobbs is able to play, well, that changes it up too. Sam Webb is a player, though, that I want to be around on this roster because there is upside there. He's just got to take some of his shellackings, and that's what's going to happen when you're a UDFA rookie. Coming in at number 1, though, I know, it's boring, but guess what? It's the quarterback. It's Derek Carr. Why? Because he's Derek Carr, because that's the number 1 thing that you should watch, because it's always going to be the top talking point at the end of every single week. I'll say it right now. Carr had his best game of the year versus Denver, and he continues to improve in McDaniels' offense. I'll say over the past 3 weeks, I've been impressed by DC's ability. Yes, he's missed some throws. There's no doubt, man. But Carr hasn't turned the football over, and realistically, if you had a halfway decent defense, you'd be able to win a lot of these games. And the fact that he came up clutch against Denver, bingo bango. 814 yards, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Is he playing like a top 15 quarterback? No, he's probably still not in that top 15 range for me. He is improving, though, and that's what you got to hope for, that Derek can improve, with the Raiders can build, and they can rally, because I'll tell you what, they rallied behind Derek, they rallied behind Josh McDaniels, they rallied together as a team in that locker room, and that's because you were able to come away with a win. So Derek, all eyes on you, baby, but you already knew that. So what player will you be watching the closest versus Seattle? Obviously a lot of players to keep an eye on. There's you never know what this coaching staff's going to do from week to week. My eyes, though, are going to be on these 10 players here. Farrell Jr., Maxx Crosby, Tyler Hall, Thayer Munford, Jerry Tillery, Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Bilal Nichols, Sam Webb, Derek Carr. Friendly reminder, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, do so, and let me know your top players that you're going to be watching Week 12 against the Seahawks.